Live. It's
This is like the third one, right?
second, I think.
No, we published two on the web, on our website. One in the coffee shop and then the first one. Ah, somebody just joined the call.
Cool. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Is that Angie?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Angie. Meet Eric.
Hi,
Hey,
Eric.
Angie. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. We are trying to get this together. Is this your sister?
Yeah, I sent her a specific invitation.
Oh, okay.
I'm sending a message to Siri asking her if she has a Google account or that I can her an invite to.
Okay. And then anybody else just watching, you can join us too.
It's true.
We are going to be talking about our project. This is the Farm Network Project live meetup.
Awesome.
Yes, now I have to get back to the screen. Okay, there we go. I am back. Hi.
So shall we? Angie, how much do you know about our project?
Not very much. I know a little bit about it. So I was hoping to learn more today.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give the honors to Nisi.
So nervous. Okay, so Eric is like my partner, and he's the one doing all the filming and the documentary end, and he's definitely involved in the creating this initiative of creating a network of all of these things. I'm just saying it's like a poke to him, but it started with a conversation where he said, "Yeah, I see all these vacant lots downtown in Chicago, and I think why can't we put community gardens there to feed people?" And then
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking that, well, because they probably belong to people, so we really can't. So, uh, did I just drop out?
No, I hear you.
Okay. So then he challenged me to create community gardens across the city and all of the vacant lots by approaching the city to create a tax incentive for the vacant lot landowners. So I put like my foot dead in my mouth, and now I have this whole project to end, eradicate hunger. So, but the idea is as we're learning and we're watching documentaries and things like we're learning about the food deserts in Chicago, and a food desert is if you're less than a mile away from a source for fresh produce or fresh meat,
Mm-hmm.
you're in a food desert. So there's tons of them in Chicago for various different reasons. And there's a difference between a food desert and a rural area, like out in the boonies, or a food desert in a major city, because in a major city, some of the reasons for rural food deserts is that some of the areas are further away from the major grocery stores, and the truckers decide they don't want to drive that far to drop off food to a local grocer. That's a small place when they could dump their whole load with like Costco or Sam's Club or Walmart or whoever and call it a day. But in the city, they're driving right past like a lot of food deserts to go make sure that they're dumping food at like the Dominic's downtown on Division and Clybourne, or on the Treasure Island on 55th and Lake Park Avenue and things like that. So obviously in the city there's a different reason for the food desert. So we're trying to figure out what that reason is, as well as create a system that grows community gardens in the areas most affected by food deserts in Chicago. We're focusing on Chicago because that's where we are. We're not in New York. We'd like to help New York, but we're not there. So we're going to just do Chicago.
Okay.
For, and what we're trying to do is we're going along. We're meeting a lot of people, like in this meetup group that we're a part of now, that are actually already doing different things, doing different parts to try to eradicate hunger by, or even trying to help people eat healthier with better nutritional foods and things like that by farming in their own home or creating a community garden like cooperative or Meat Source Cooperative or Raw Milk Cooperatives that they all do like a timeshare in. So wanted to kind of introduce exactly what we were doing and show like the various different ways. We have our website, which is thefarmnetworkproject.com, and we have a Twitter page, which is the Farm Network Project, because Twitter has a character issue. And then we have our YouTube page, which is where we're actually publishing the documentary web series that we're producing as we go along, as we're doing interviews, as we learn more information. So that YouTube channel is the Farm Network Project.
The Farm Network Project.
She's getting on the orange line. Okay. Okay.
Yes, and
now, what is the other one? Give me the other ones again. The Farm Network Project, YouTube. What is the Twitter?
Twitter, hang on one second so I can give you that exact address because I had because it's shorter than I wanted it to be. So hang on, let me see. Where is it? Here we go. It is Farm Network, PROJ. And I will copy the link if I can. Well, obviously I cannot, so let's see. And post it so that everyone will see it.
Okay.
It's pretty cute too. It's Twitter. Okay. So, Eric, did you want to add some things?
Yes. So also, I wanted, in addition to that, one of the core problems that I think Nisi and I have been finding is that education is really, or the lack of education, or lack of education about nutrition is one of the problems that create all these different diet-related diseases. And so, in encompassing trying to create a network and also the community garden, we're also trying to create a system either through the documentary or some type of or using a website as a platform to create information to educate people that don't know about nutrition or very little, like like myself. The importance of diet, things that we don't know and things that we've been told that have really been killing us. So the education portion is also a key factor in the project.
Okay, great.
That is true. Educating and bringing in many different, like what we're finding with the people in the MeetUp group and like even with you, Ange, and like Yvette as well. She doesn't know she's a part of it, but she is. And a few other people that we've talked to so far. There's lots that we don't know that other people know a lot of. So we're actually looking at it being a cooperative type of initiative where people are bringing all of what they know to the table as far as nutritional food, growing it, creating healthy soil so that it can grow, preparing it, shopping for it, like what you can do, like what you've learned about raw, Ange, would be huge, and how you feel about raw actually would be huge, because that's a part of the problem as well, is that people feel like food doesn't taste good when it's not the way we're used to eating it. The way we're used to eating it is the way we've been kind of trained to eat it over decades to get to this place. And the place where we're at is pretty unhealthy. And healthy people, nutriently fulfilled people are happy people, wonderful citizens that do wonderful things for the country.
Now, what about schools and things like that? Because you could get them involved too. That would also be teaching kids from a very early age about nutrition, and they can be a part of, or if the schools are willing to do that kind of thing, they can be a part of that too, growing their own food and, learning all about that.
Although that's also a part of the initiative and is a major part of the educational portion of the whole thing. It is that we're creating this network where there are a lot of people, like in the already doing community gardens, just like there are a lot of people out oh, Siri's trying to find us. There's a lot of people out in California doing it as well. So what we're doing is we're going to be doing things like trying to approach schools, but that's a bigger beast to tackle. But trying to approach schools to get them to allow the overage from the community gardens, from the vacant lots all over the place, to be given to the schools for free, or for healthy, fresh lunches, fresh fruits and vegetables for kids to eat in the schools. That would be wonderful, but there's already a system in place there, so it would be changing something to do that.
And also, too, I think one of the things, Angie, that we're trying to do, you're right, the schools should be there. Actually, the University of Illinois has a program funded by the United States Department of Agriculture. But when we both investigated, what they're teaching is, I don't know, I don't even know how to put it. What would the word be, Nancy? Would you describe their? If you looked at any of the documents, but we had discussed it this morning, they're basically teaching, I guess, what the government has laid out as nutritional.
Mm.
Or they're pushing the agendas of these corporations that are giving the support to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that because they're farming, like Pierce out here or whatever? It's a farming school. You think that's why they're doing it, because they have to?
Or possibly because it's government funded.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So do you think they're doing the same thing at Pierce, even though they're teaching them how to grow food and do that kind of stuff?
It's entirely possible. We're not entirely sure. Like, what Eric felt was he did not feel he conclusively found that it's directly being intentionally led down that path. But I think that when you're getting funding from, say, a Tyson or I don't know, any of the corn manufacturing companies or whatever that are like putting the monies towards funding these programs and these projects, then they're probably going to be, there's an expectation there that you would say that Tyson chicken is healthy.
Right. Right.
So, or at least chicken is healthy.
Right.
And, obviously Tyson does a great job of providing. You know what I mean? What do you think, Eric?
Well, yeah, I think, along with that, but also, the United...
Hi, Siri!
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Sorry I'm late. Got confused.
Yeah, we did too. I'm sorry we didn't do such a great job of finding everybody. We kind of did an impromptu hangout group, but thank you for joining us. I'm Nisi, that's Eric, that's Angie.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing? Staying warm?
Yeah. Well, except my sister's in California, so she's warm.
Not really. It's cold here.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
No.
Not as cold as there, but it's cold.
Well, shall we start over, Nisi? You want to do, now that you had you want to start over for Siri? Where did she leave?
She'll be back.
She'll be back. All right. So
more dinner.
So how are you, Siri?
Good. Very good. I'm curious
Good.
to learn about what you guys are up to and how I can participate.
Were you able to watch the documentary that we created?
Yes, I did watch that. That was very good.
Oh, terrific. Well, I don't want to steal the steam from Nisi, but so I'm the documentary filmmaker, and how I got okay. So she's back.
Sorry.
Drum roll, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. My daughter decided she wanted second, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, DC, did you want to start for Siri? Do the presentation. Start the presentation now that everybody's here.
Sure. Sure. We're mostly just talking. I don't have anything to kind of share, unless you want to, Eric. Share the. What do you think? Share our website and things like that.
Well, yeah, what you said in the very beginning.
Okay, so I'll just start over. So what I was saying is that what we wanted to do, we created, it all started, Eric and I were talking, we went to a class together and started working on another project of his, and we were talking about some of the things that we were seeing, and he was saying, it really makes me angry when I'm in Chicago, when I'm downtown, and I see all these vacant lots, like why couldn't they put gardens on the vacant lots that could feed people? And I started thinking, well, yeah, but they can't because those vacant lots belong to entities. It's not like they are owned by the city per se. So then I said that out loud, and I'm like, but wouldn't it be great? I bet we could get the city to offer tax incentives to landowners to encourage people to put community gardens throughout Chicago, because there's a ton of vacant lots. Like we have some streets. Well, are you from Chicago, Siri?
Yes, I do live in Chicago.
Okay, so as you know, there's a ton of vacant lots throughout Chicago. So he challenged me to come up with this initiative or to find a way to get the city to endorse a program that we put community gardens throughout every neighborhood, on every street, that the food is allowed to the community people or the neighborhood people to eat for free. And so that's where it started. But and he decided he wanted to document the whole thing, so he decided he would do this whole documentary showing this journey. So that was about 3 weeks ago, and now what we're doing is we've been doing a lot of research, watching a lot of documentaries. I went through a weekend where I didn't eat a thing because after seeing all these documentaries, I'm like, I can't eat food anymore. It's just crazy what's going on with the food in America. But we decided, we've learned so many things that we're kind of changing what our goal and our initiative is, as opposed to trying to recreate the wheel. What we found is there's like maybe thousands of community gardens already in Chicago, but what's needed more so is creating a resource and a network for all of these community gardens to work together and find information easily and quickly and share the information, as well as sharing education. We want to include educating people in the neighborhoods that are the people that are not eating healthy and things like that, on how to eat healthy, how to grow in a garden, how to create proper soil, things like that. So out of the initiative that we're going to be putting together, we're trying to create this network that's like a spiderweb network that everybody can kind of work together. And then I am still planning on going to the city with this and proposing it as something that the city picks up as supporting and endorsing, and definitely giving tax incentives to landowners, as they're already doing tax incentives to local grocers for making sure they buy local fresh garden organic vegetables and fresh meats. They can include tax incentives to the vacant landowners to encourage them to go ahead and allow people to do it, as well as put an initiative forth to get all of the different community garden people together, that they get the support that they need, as well as maybe branch out more and maybe approaching things like universities and things like that to create an internship for students that are studying farming, agriculture, engineering for biofood engineering, things like that, so they could do an internship to help ensure that everything is consistent and thriving in all the gardens across the city, and they learn something, or if they are master gardeners as well. And as well as bringing in the schools, if we can, to see if they can get some of the overage from these community gardens so that the kids in the school are eating fresh foods, fresh vegetables and fruits and things like that. And the people still in the neighborhoods would be able to always have some fresh food to eat, that they'd always have food and they wouldn't be necessarily starving. So it's kind of lofty, but what do you think?
It does sound ambitious, but
it's a good
I'm
idea.
I'm in. Definitely a very interesting project. But how do you? What are your next steps? What are our next steps?
Well, that's why we started. We started the Meetup group about a week ago, where we were reaching out to people and networking because as we were studying documentaries and we I think we placed a Craigslist ad where all these people responded that said they were already doing things like that and they would love to be a part of the project. So then we realized maybe we should do a meetup group. So we did the meetup group, and then we got a lot of people responding and interested. So the idea is to start creating a network where it's like, okay, what is the next step, and what specialties does everyone have that they could help to further this along? As far as what we're working on next is to try and get an idea or start talking to the city, like the Department of Agriculture and the ordinance for the community gardens and things like that, to get an idea of what they would be looking for to back an initiative like that, and talk to some more community gardeners in the area to see what the costs are. Like we did an interview with one community gardener this last weekend, and I got some ideas of what it costs and what is involved in actually building a community garden, and it's one that they offer plots out to people for $40 a year so they can grow their own things, and they assist the people by giving them soil that they create themselves by composting.
Right.
But I'm getting an idea of what it takes because my thoughts are, and that's why I want to open it up to all of these people that, like everyone who's probably way smarter than I am, to say, I'm trying to get it to zero cost, or so that the city would really be just rolling out maybe a marketing program and a major push, but it kind of like handles a problem that like Rahm Emanuel has right now, in that he promised to do something about the food deserts, but there hasn't been anything done so far. But if we are able to put gardens on every block, that kind of addresses that.
I do. Yeah, that sounds really good. I think what we should do is actually have a physical meeting.
Okay.
Like, say like in a library or something. They usually have a community hall in some of the public libraries. And if we can get people to actually come and talk to each other, that's going to be a good starting point.
Do you think? Well, we were thinking of doing a physical meeting in January. Eric, when were we looking at doing that?
Well, I think it was January 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. The first week after January in the evening. But the reason, Siri, that we also did this online meeting is to kind of get an idea what everybody's schedule is like.
Right.
That was because we don't, online I think is more convenient to do, so we can get to know each other, but also physically meet after we met online. So as you see, there's 17 people, and I guess 3 people were out of town. So the same thing would happen in a physical space. People schedules would conflict. And the other thing I wanted to add to this with this project is also the education. I can't tell you how much I've learned so far in this journey. My position on it is really to document the process, but also to show the injustice, the social injustice of what is happening to a community that has all these different resources, and it's not being utilized. And it's kind of like taking the idea of Jacques Fresco, which is a guy out that have you heard of him?
I have not.
He's a social. He calls himself a social engineer. He has a project called the Venus Project out in Venus, Florida. There's a couple of documentaries on him as well. But basically, we have the resource. We have enough the resources to feed an entire community. It's just that it's not being utilized, and people are starving. And not only are people starving, and they don't have enough to eat. They're eating poor. They're eating their diet is causing all these diet-related diseases.
Well, they're making poor choices based on income because the industries make it easier for them to get the cheaper food than the food that's good for them.
Right.
I agree.
Or poor choices because they don't know.
Well, that's true.
Well,
But they
even
also
if they
can't
would,
afford it.
even if they know, it's hard to change what they're doing because of economic reasons. It's harder to go out there and try to buy a lot of fresh food.
It's true because they price that higher than the cheap bad food, and it's because of what you were saying about those industries put a lot of money into keeping people eating the bad food by making it a dollar menu so you can feed your whole family and get them really full off of stuff that's bad for them.
There's also no government subsidies for fresh food, but for corn and soy.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Well, my husband here is commenting as well.
I'm so glad.
I thought I heard another male voice.
Yes, and the government is subsidizing those industries to provide these foods, and they are what I saw in the documentary is that they're also subsidizing them to provide those foods to schools to feed kids, like chicken nuggets almost every other meal, and pizzas with lots of cheese and things like that. They get subsidized for that as well.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, well, that's where government cheese came from. Back in the
That
70s.
is.
So, Siri, you want to introduce your husband now that he's in the picture?
Yes, this is Ami. Ami is eating food, so he's got his mouth full. All fresh food, he says.
Good.
Terrific. Well, so Angie and Siri, would you like to kind of tell us a little bit about you and what caused you to join the call today and are interested in this project?
Yeah, I am an environmental engineer, and I am unemployed. And I have been considering for over 6 months or so to start an urban farm.
Oh, nice.
And so I've been trying to make a business plan, and I'm trying to get a plot of land to put something together. And I also want to grow all year round. So I want to build like a greenhouse, a hothouse, to be able to produce food through the winter as well. So that's where I am right now. It's in the planning conception phase, and I have been trying, not very successfully, to get in touch with whatever resources I was able to find in the city to see if anybody can help me do this, because I have zero experience doing anything like this, and I have not gotten much response from anywhere. So I'm struggling right now.
Mm-hmm. And you've also been looking at land.
I think that I'm losing you all.
Right.
Can you guys hear okay, everybody?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going in and out.
Yeah, it's kind of strange right now. Yeah, we've got some resources that I think could help you. Like, there's a few farms that you could at least go and talk to the people there. I can just add a list, and that's what the whole point of this initiative is too, by the way, to create a system so that if you have questions of how to get started, it's a resource so that you could see, like, okay, I would start here and I could talk to these people or that. So I've got a couple of things that I will send to you that can help you as far as who to talk to next, as far as what you're trying to accomplish as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, also if you can share with us, some of the challenges, so we can understand that and see what the what some of the challenges might be for us, because it sounds like we're all on the same journey right here.
Yeah, it does. So would you be willing to be on the documentary as well?
What do you think? Yes, sure, why
The
not?
zoning issues you ran into also?
Yeah, so some of the issues we ran into was finding a plot of land or a rooftop, and we've been looking around, and clearly we see empty, like vacant plots of land, looking wasted and not maintained, and even some vacant buildings that could potentially be a farm, a rooftop farm. But trouble we've been having is getting in touch with the owners, trying to figure out how to propose starting a farm over there and encouraging them to actually rent it out to us or
Well,
some.
that's good.
Um, so
There's probably also a certain amount of commercialization because I didn't. Larry spoke with quite a few box stores,
Mm-hmm.
their roofs, or even some section of parking.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot about zoning and insurance, et cetera, et cetera. But then you read in the paper that there's a commercial urban farm that's starting these local farms, and I think that's what we saw in Crane's business or something like that. And they just signed a big deal with a lot of the box stores around here to use their roofs, you know. So
Wow. So do you think that they're like making deals and kind of locking people out?
I think the big box stores can pretty much do what they want. So if they want to, if the money's right, then they'll figure out how to get around the zoning because they already have, access to adjust zoning when necessary.
Right.
And when they have someone who could bring it all together and commercialize it that way, they have it. But then when you have small startups trying to get small plots of land rezoned or areas rezoned, I don't know. I hope we don't face any competition or conflict with them since they're trying to, obviously, corner the urban market in that regard. That said, they're looking to sell, so we're not a competition if we're setting it up so that people who wouldn't even buy from them in the first place or have access to them in the first place would have food. So I'm hoping maybe there could be even some kind of pro bono work with them. That's what I was hoping for. Oh, who knows?
That makes sense.
Now, who are these box stores? You said box stores?
Yeah, like a Mariano's or who was the one we saw? Was it Staples? It wasn't Staples. It was
Office Depot.
Office Depot.
A lot of these
ones.
big stores are in these what do you call them? Open malls.
Yeah.
Right.
And they have these big flat rooftops that can potentially be excellent farms because they get ample sunlight and it's a good amount of space. And so I've been trying to approach these guys and trying to figure out if they can let their rooftop become a farm. Everybody benefit from it. But they're very uncomfortable with the idea because they basically just turn me away. They're not available. We're not allowed to do anything to the roof. We don't do we don't rent the roof to anybody. So I'm like, I don't know where to go. I didn't know how to start.
Oh my
Well,
God.
there's two, I don't know if you've seen it, Siri, there's a couple links. Well, I just added one to the right. There's an article in the Huffington Post about this community garden that I just found right before the call. And then I looked on the last one I just posted is the actual website of that community garden operation. So from those two resources, you might get maybe an understanding or a better idea of how they created that, because it sounds like they created this community garden from something that was on a rooftop, or it was toxic. That's what it was. So if you haven't seen it,
I
or
will
if we
take
can
a
help.
look.
And have you approached any like church landowners?
I
Because
have not. I have not. But the zoning for urban farms is slightly different from community gardens. With
mm-hmm.
community gardens, apparently you have more freedom to change existing plots of land into gardens. With
Right.
an urban farm, it's considered an
Commercial.
industry, so you have to have it on an industrially zoned industrial land. And the rules are that you have to have a parking lot for the employees if you plan to employ anybody, and it has to. There's some rules. There's like
Right.
a bunch of rules that are very different from what you would consider good enough to have a community garden. So I don't know how to reconcile these things. It's really hard to figure out which is okay for a farm, which is okay for a community garden, and what's the difference.
Do you think that if you started a few community gardens, that it would give you some leverage with the city to
Possibly, and actually that's actually a good thing to do as well. I would prefer doing that. The trouble with community gardens is that somebody has to be overseeing it,
right?
and hopefully somebody in that community will oversee it, and then we can move on to create more gardens. I don't know if I want to be somebody who is taking care of a bunch of community gardens, but not be able to start one by myself.
Well, wouldn't the idea though be to get the community together so that they can start running their own community gardens? Isn't that what the education part is about? Is that what you're trying to do?
That is the goal, yes.
Okay.
But there's always one person, even in a community garden, who has to oversee the working of the whole garden.
But
Okay.
maybe we could invite some master gardeners into that to kind of oversee it, or
Within that
That would be
community?
perfect. That would be perfect.
but we'd have to meet some and then and then invite them. So, but okay, I kind of have an idea of where you're struggling. Eric, do you think that she would benefit from talking to Benja?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if he,
Because he's done
It-
3.
huh?
He's
I mean,
done 3
he
gardens.
manages 5 or 6, right?
Oh, no, 3, just 3.
3? Oh, 6. I think 6 so far in his 7 years they've done. But let's give Angie a platform to tell us about her.
I'm basically here because my sister invited me. She was telling me about this, and this is very interesting to me. I have a family of 6 children. Most of them are grown now. But I was one of those mothers that is doing what she can to feed her children with very little. So this would be something that I would, as a mother, would be very interested in. You know, I would rather feed my kids healthy, which is why I have an interest in what you're talking about. And then, if possible, maybe trying to do the same thing here in California, which is a really tough state. I don't know if you all have seen some of the stuff here. These people are ridiculous with not wanting to, the government giving, doing healthy things for kids, even in the schools. They're really tough about, no, we don't want that here, So I would love to be able to do something like that out here, if possible.
Terrific. Well, I lived in L.A. for 10 years, and so I know how tough it is.
Oh my goodness.
The state is, at least the city of L.A. gives tickets for jaywalking, so I know.
Well, and even recently, I was telling Nisi, that guy, Jamie Oliver, was out here in the schools trying to, he had gone to different states. And when he got to California, it was embarrassing. on television and everything how they were saying, absolutely not. We don't want this healthy stuff in the schools out here. It was, oh my goodness. And I couldn't believe it. And parents, of course, don't feel that way, but he eventually left. He tried a couple of times, but he eventually left.
A school in New York that pretty much has an all plant-based diet now.
Tell them.
I can't remember the name of the school. I'm reading about it, and it's doing great. Yeah.
Avi says there's a school in New York that is doing an all plant-based diet now,
Pretty much.
and he can't remember the name of it right now, but they're actually doing a good job with it.
And they have their own gardens too?
They might have a garden. I don't know if that does all the food for them, but I'm pretty sure they have gardens in there.
Good.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is. That's awesome. So that's my interest. I'm interested because I would love to see everybody eating healthy, and my family has been jumping on board for a long time with healthy eating. All of my children who came up on really bad food because of cost have really taken to healthy eating now. So I'd love to see that and be a part of that.
Terrific. Well, I'm look forward to working with everyone. So, Nisi, where do we go from here? So, have we got an idea? What is again our next step that everybody can get involved in helping out?
Well, I think that we're gonna post this hangout, I guess, and also what I mentioned earlier, but I didn't reiterate, is we have a website, thefarmnetworkproject.com, and we have a YouTube page, which is a YouTube channel, which is the Farm Network Project, where what Eric is doing is, as we are documenting things, like what we'd like to do is start kind of documenting you guys in your process of what you're doing as well. We're taking these things and he's editing them and uploading them to the website and to the YouTube channel, so it's a ongoing web series type of a documentary thing. So, and that's the Farm Network Project channel on YouTube.
That's
I would say the next steps at this point is, one, we need to work on
Excuse me.
bless you, organizing the MeetUp Group for in person. And I know the holidays are coming up, so I don't know how that's going to affect everybody for the holidays coming up. But I would say, like I said, I'd like to start working on trying to begin talking to the city and even talking to them about things like a small business wanting to open an urban farm. You know, what do they need to do and how can the city support them in making that happen? Because it seems to me that the city has the lists of who actually owns property. So if you went to the city, they should be able to lead you on a path of who to speak to for particular types of land, and they should be more cooperative as far as converting zoning over. I mean, I could see where it might be a little challenging to go from, say, residential to industrial, but if you're already at commercial and you're on the edge of industrial, as some of the neighborhoods in Chicago are, I don't see why they couldn't make that shift pretty easily. So that's something that, I mean, I think we could start working on. What do you think, Eric?
Well, I just wanted to clarify because the connection's going in and out. So, Siri, is your goal to create a urban farm?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Well, I think what would be good if you and Siri can get together and try to see if there's a common goal, right? To do something together.
Okay. Well, Siri, what is your schedule like during the week?
Well, like I said, I'm unemployed, but I do have a dog that cannot be left alone. So I do need a little notice so I can take care of him, have somebody watch him, make arrangements for him. But otherwise, I'm available pretty much any day of the week.
Okay. Well, do you think that you might want to, like, you and I, like, maybe get together on Friday, and I could come to you to make life easier, or we could meet somewhere around you where you're at, to kind of get an idea of what you're working on and where I'm working at, and then maybe we can figure out how to help each other.
That sounds very good.
Okay, what I'll do is I will send you through the meetup my contact information, and we can figure out what time and things like that. And Eric, do you want to be there for that?
Well, I need to get the permission. Siri, do you mind if I document this?
No, not at all.
Okay. Yes, then.
Okay, and Ami, will you be there?
Yes.
I'm at work most of the day. If you do it Saturday morning.
Ami thankfully has a job, so so what time Friday works? If it's in the evening, he may be able to join us.
My schedule is pretty flexible on a Friday, so I could do evening if that works for you guys. If you're not too tired, because I hate to make people, like, after they've worked a whole day, like, try and do another thing.
No, I'm all right.
Okay, so maybe we could do around 6:30. And Eric, would that work for you?
Friday, 6:30?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can carve that out.
Okay, well then let's figure out where we'll meet. What neighborhood are you in?
We are in West Lakeview, close to Roscoe Village.
I used to live there when I was, like, way younger.
You're young.
Sorta. But yeah, so actually we could meet if you're are you by Lincoln Avenue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, close. We're the closest intersection is Damon and Diversey to us. So
Okay.
Lincoln is just a few blocks that way.
Okay, so maybe there's a if you're at Damon and Diversity, isn't there a Starbucks close to you maybe we could all meet at, or is there something more convenient for you guys?
Isn't there a Starbucks close to everybody?
There's a Starbucks close
Not
to
me.
everybody.
Well, keep in mind that I can't record in Starbucks because I don't have permission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Would you home? Is okay.
That's up to you. That still works.
Well, you guys could just come to our place, except our place is a mess. So if
I
that's
don't want the documents.
he doesn't want the mess documented.
She reminds me enough about the mess already.
No, if you want to just carve out like a small area and we could just like sit like how you guys are right now would be perfect.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's cool. Then we'll get your your address from your email. Haha, I'm so digital that I'm like, your email will pop over.
Yep, I'll send it to you guys.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I guess we're coming to the end of this. Does anybody have anything they want to say?
Well, I think this is a great project, so I'm looking forward to doing what I can, even though I'm long distance.
Well, speaking of, one of the things that we're looking at is, Angie, is to help us, promote the web channel or the YouTube channel. Are you good at social media?
I'm okay with it, especially with the help of Nisi.
Okay.
I definitely have time to do whatever I can.
Okay. Nisi, can we include her in the
Wigio?
Yeah, the Wigio.
Yep.
And maybe we can do. Are you available, Angie, to do a Google Hangout at some time? So we normally brainstorm on stuff on like our next step. So after Friday, we'll probably have some other goals. Like we just created a fundraiser or a Kickstarter or Indiegogo to raise funds for the film project. So we can certainly use some help in trying to get that off the ground.
Okay. Well, yes, I have time. I'm unemployed also, so I have time. The kids are at school during the day, so I have plenty of time.
Okay, cool. Sari, any questions for us?
No, this is exciting. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, do you see any questions?
No, I'm going to contact you, Siri, to get the address so we'll know where we're going. And usually our hangouts are like they usually start about 9, so that would be 7 your time. How do you feel about that?
That's fine.
Okay.
And Siri, you're also welcome to hang out.
Wait, excuse me. Wait, one more. I'm sorry. Was that an AM or PM?
AM.
Okay, I'm busy taking kids back and forth to school at that time.
Okay, so we could push it back to like say 10 a.m. our time would be 8 yours. Are you back, or do you want to do 11, 9?
I'm usually back here by 8:30 my time.
So we could do it 11. Eric, does that work, or is that too late?
11 o'clock when?
Well, whenever we do them.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And Siri, you're welcome to join on as well. We could send you an invitation. And Siri? Do you have a Google account?
Yes. I didn't realize I needed one. I just opened one.
Oh, did you need it to be a part of the Hangout?
I wasn't sure. It told me I needed to have a Google account to log in, so I made one and I logged in.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you.
We'll get you acclimated to Google, and we'll add you as friends, and then we can include you as well.
Perfect.
If you have the time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I look forward to meeting you on Friday, and I guess we'll conclude our meeting.
All right, and thank you guys all so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.